This session will help you to clear some of the questions essentially asked before learning VBA. In this session, we will see some of the questions which are essentially asked by a learner while learning VBA. The first question will always be what is called VBA, right? VBA stands for Visual Basic for Application, and it is an object-oriented programming language. Later in our course, we will see what is called object orientation. For now, you could remember VBA is a programming language. This programming language is used to program MS Office applications. That is, not only for Excel, it could be used for Word, PowerPoint, Access, etc. The main use of the VBA is to facilitate the user to define his own functions and procedures to solve his problems. These procedures and functions can be accessed in addition to the built-in commands such as bold, clear contents, etc. An example of an user-defined function can be calculate percentage for this student. So, to define a user-defined function or procedures, VBA is mostly used. A spreadsheet programmed with this VBA language is called a spreadsheet application. Excel, with its built-in commands such as bold to formulas to pivot tables, charts, and options, and the ribbon programming, is not sufficient to solve user problems. So there comes need for a spreadsheet application. To understand the need, we should first know what is spreadsheet and why it is used. The primary usage of this spreadsheet is to store data in the tabular format, that is a matrix format, which is easy for organizing data and easy for recalling. The stored and organized data can be manipulated and edited based on the user needs. By applying formulas on the stored data, you could calculate and produce results. The results and with the source data you can present using tables or chart, which is easy for decision making, and this is a wide usage of spreadsheet which gives that user possibility to store and organize data in a better way. Though these benefits of spreadsheet are widely accepted, there are some major limitations without VBA. A spreadsheet is called more user dependent, which leads to a lot of training so that everybody could use in the same way. For example, to understand this limitation, say you have a spreadsheet where you want to enter a data in a cell. That spreadsheet is, you are the owner of the spreadsheet, you distribute that spreadsheet to users from different countries. If every user from different country enters the data, that is the date, in their own date format. For example, in one part of the world you would use month, date and year, and another part of the world you would use date, month and year. So if everybody uses that spreadsheet in their own way, there could be loss of readability and you may lose the accuracy in the data. So this is a very major limitation of the standalone spreadsheet which is not programmed. And also, as we see in our last slide, procedures and user-defined functions, custom functions, which is not possible in a standalone spreadsheet. Some of the tasks in your spreadsheet usage are repetitive, and when you do it manually, it is largely time-consuming. Less user interactivity. To understand this very important limitation of a standalone spreadsheet, let us take the example of the same date problem. Say you are the owner of a spreadsheet and you want the user to enter a date in a particular cell, and if they enter that date in a wrong format, the Excel should give him some message to enter it in the correct format, which is not possible in a standalone spreadsheet. For example, if a user from India enters a date in the format date, month and year, and if that spreadsheet is gonna be read by users from some other countries, will confuse that data. So you have to validate at the point of entry itself and inform the user in India that enter the date with the format with month, date and year. So this kind of user interaction, that is customized user interaction, is not possible with the standalone spreadsheet. To eliminate these defaults with the standalone spreadsheet applications, that is a spreadsheet programmed with VBA, gives you n number of possibilities. The major possibility is like all the Excel features can be customized using VBA. The next most significant possibility, that is the benefit of spreadsheet application, is user could define his own methods and procedures for his problem which is appropriate. VBA program converts that spreadsheet into more interactive and usability. That is, for example, if you want to explain this benefit, the same date example, if you click a cell where you need the user to enter a date, there should be a message box which gives you please enter the date in a particular date format. If that is there, we are reducing the chances for inaccurate data. And that adds usability, that is every user knows what he is doing in that cell. When you solve a huge problem using Excel spreadsheet application, you may need to automate some of the task which is repetitive throughout the problem solving. That can be automated by VBA. Formulas and procedures are embedded within a cell which a user may not need to see or edit it, or you may require that formulas should not be visible to the user, only the values and calculation should be known to him. You could protect it using that spreadsheet application. So the very major and very important benefit of this spreadsheet application is you get to organize that programs in a modular way, that is a modular organization, which is very useful when you want to reuse that modules for the similar kind of problems for different spreadsheet applications. For example, if you solve your year-end accounting problems using a spreadsheet, you may need to organize your set of tasks, that is the module which generates your profit loss sheet and the module which generates your balance sheet, and you could have another module which would do tax calculations for your expenses and income. So this kind of modularization is possible with this spreadsheet application using VBA language. When it comes to store, organize, and present data for statistics, decision making, and analysis, spreadsheet is a great possibility. Whereas a programmable spreadsheet with a language like VBA is double the great possibility. What is called Excel then? Excel is a spreadsheet program produced by Microsoft. And it has come with a lot of features which is robust and which powers the user to do data organization task very easily. The features of Excel is, the very major feature is macros, which is programmable by VBA. And also all the Excel features are programmable using VBA. Pivot tables and charts are used to present the data in a more summarized way, which is very useful for decision making and taking reports. And the user interface of this Excel application is very intuitive and all are customizable based on the user needs. The Excel has come with user forms, which adds more user interactivity and adds more usability for an Excel application. In the earlier versions of the Excel and some of the counterparts from other companies' spreadsheet programs, there are days where you had workbook with only one worksheet, which was not sufficient at that point of time when you are doing a huge task with a single spreadsheet application. This feature of working with multiple worksheets or chart sheets enable user to split the problems into chunks and store it in different worksheets. The multi-layer drawing capabilities, that is, you could draw GUI elements, that is, user interface elements like a button or a text box, or it could be a drop-down box, a checkbox above that Excel data table, or you could add one more layer to add your charts, that is, graphical representation of your data in a different layer, which gives you a more presentable and interactive worksheets for the user. So with these features, Excel leads that spreadsheet market, while other counterparts far lagging behind the Excel. What is a macro then? Say the basic confusion is we are talking about different terms, and we are talking about VBA, we are talking about macro, and we are talking about spreadsheet application. So now we have to be clear now what is a macro. A macro is a set of instructions that can be automatically executed with a single command to accomplish a task. Here you have a lot of terms, that is a sequence of instructions. What is this sequence of instructions? A sequence means you mean to say here it is a logical order of instructions. That is, for example, if you want to add 1 plus 2, you have to get the numbers and you have to get that operation which has to be done on the numbers, and you have to add that, or you have to do that operation and give the results. This is a logical order of solving an addition problem. Similarly, to do a task, every problem has its own way of solving things. So macro is a sequence of instructions which is executed with a single command. For example, if you want font bold in a cell, you just click the bold button or Control B. Like that, you could also add command button for your macro in the toolbar, or you could give some shortcut keys for your toolbar which executes a set of instructions which is recorded or programmed by VBA. To understand macro, we could see with an example. Say if you want to have a student mark sheet, you want to highlight all the centum scorers in the max. Say the sequence for this task is like, first you have to take the list, and you have to search for the first student who took centum in the max, and go to the student name and highlight that. Then you have to search for the next who have taken 100, and you have to highlight the student name. This task has to be repeated till you reach that end of the list. This is a logical order to solve this task, that is to highlight all the centum scorers. So this sequence of instructions is programmed by VBA. A VBA code to highlight the names of the students scoring centum in mathematics. So this sequence of instruction, which is programmed by VBA or recorded using the macro recorder which comes with the Excel, is a macro. Once again, since we have a lot of terms running around, we should be clear before entering into other subjects. Spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is nothing but an e-document that deals data in a matrix format, that is tabular format. Spreadsheet application. It could be a programmed spreadsheet as an application for user problems. Excel. A spreadsheet product from Microsoft. VBA. A language used to program Excel or other Microsoft applications. Macro, a set of instructions given to Excel or Microsoft application in VBA language. So, with these terms ready, we will get into how VBA works. To understand the working of VBA, what we need to know is we need to understand what is objects. So, in this mission of understanding objects, take this object which is we usually called as cube, right? Let us try to define this object. Either you can do, or you assume that you ask your secretary or your assistant, or you employ somebody to define this object. Okay, now you are busy, so let's employ someone to define this object. Here comes an assistant to define this object. Let's ask him to define this object. The number of sides of this cube is 6. The dimension of this cube is 5 centimeter. The color of this cube is the multicolor. The material of this cube is leather polished. And the name is cube icons. What I'd be saying is the things, that is the left hand side, the number of side, the dimension, the color, the material, and the name defines an object which I would call as properties. So by changing the properties, we could change the feel of that object. Either, say, if I am changing the size of this object from 5 centimeter to 10 centimeter, you could feel this object bigger than this. If I change the color of this object, you could feel this as some more reddish or bluish. Similarly, an object is defined by the value of its properties. Okay, so let us do something with this object. Move, roll, change color. Okay, every object has its own way of doing actions upon that. For example, if I want to move this object down, I have to press from the top. If I want to move this object up, I have to press from down. So every object has its own way of doing actions with it. I would call it as methods. Knowing these things, I'm coming to the next slide where I want you to tell me some of the objects other than this cube. If I am asked, I will say pen, pencil, car, bikes, and furnitures, the board, the projector, the microphone, the mobile phone, and my car keys. Everything I would consider as objects. Similarly, the VBA assumes the spreadsheet, that is a workbook, as an object, and the Excel as an object, and a cell an object, and a worksheet as an object, which would have the properties and methods. As we have seen already, it has its own properties to define it and methods to do action upon that. So now, with this understanding of the object, we have come to the next slide where we will understand VBA itself. The gentleman of this monkey commands this monkey to work around with this object called cube by defining properties or by applying methods like move, roll, play, throw to entertain his audience. Similar way, a developer using the VBA program commands this Excel, the workbooks, the worksheets, and the cell by defining properties or by some applying methods to automate task of the users. This is how the VBA works. Say, here comes an exercise. Consider workbook as an object. Workbook means when you open Excel, you are getting an workbook with number of worksheets. Identify properties and methods of worksheet object, then a cell object. With this understanding of VBA and Excel objects, we would end this session of essential questions asked by a learner. I hope you would have cleared your gray areas about some of the basic terms used in VBA program with Excel 2007.